Hi, how's it going, everyone? It's Sam Bolton here. Got another fun live stream for you. Oh, here we go. I think it's on here. Let's see. Okay. Well, it should start soon. Oh man, what a week, huh? So yeah, last Saturday I uploaded that video about Wes Huff. I think currently sitting at over 1,500 views on that live. Pretty good for a small channel like mine. Most of the comments I got were garbage, insults, and people who probably didn't even watch the video, and basically just proving my point that apologetics has devolved into a form of entertainment for the believers who refuse to look at the questions and analyze the evidence with an open mind. So what are you going to do? But I did get some good some good substantive comments and criticisms, so that's good too. I appreciate y'all that engaged with my video. But I have a new topic I want to talk about that is not apologetics related, which perhaps I should niche down and just be another YouTube channel responding to Christian apologetics arguments. But those channels are a dime a dozen, and there's people who do it better than me. So I might occasionally make videos like that if I have something to say, but I'm not going to make that the main focus of my channel. I want to do something that interests me, something that I care about, right? So I want to talk about the future. I want to talk about creating a future for our children that is positive and good and embraces the phenomenal change that we are all about to go through. Those of you following the news have probably seen that the United States government has completely deregulated AI and created something called Project Stargate that's being compared to the Manhattan Project, which is this monumental effort to basically build artificial superintelligence, build these massive campuses all over the United States, powered by huge brand new energy plants, natural gas, solar and wind, nuclear, probably some coal. They're building one I think Meta is building one in northeastern Louisiana in some rural area, farmland. That's actually not a part of Project Stargate. Funny that they named it that, but anyway, I want to talk about the shift we're about to go through and what that means for humanity. And seeing as I have training in history and theology, I want to offer my 2 cents about what I think we need to do and how we need to respond as a species to this monumental shift that we're all about to go through. And some of you are AI skeptics. I know that. And I understand there's always a lot of hype and scams and all kinds of stuff around Silicon Valley tech bros, but they're also the hub of technological progress in 2025. And, people, thinkers, philosophers, scientists have been predicting this shift for decades now. They saw it coming long before ChatGPT came online. And even back in the 30s and 40s, when computers were just invented, people could see this shift coming. Okay. So we stand on the precipice of a monumental transformation, unparalleled since the Industrial Revolution. That's just a fact. So, this is the future of spirituality, rethinking faith in the age of artificial superintelligence. Sorry, I got blocked off there. So, this is what I want to talk about. The US government's announcement of Project Stargate, a Promethean endeavor to create artificial intelligence rivaling the scale of the Manhattan Project, heralds the beginning of a new epoch. Soon our world will teem with robots and AI agents, surpassing the intellectual prowess of every human PhD that's ever existed on this planet in every conceivable field. This seems to be what we're facing here. Big deal. So my friend that I've yet to meet over on YouTube, David Shapiro, yet to even speak with him, but I consider him a friend because he's a Trekkie like me, probably more so. And he actually knows what he's talking about in this field. Go check him out, David Shapiro. He talks about cognitive hyperabundance. I don't know if that's a term that he invented, but he uses it quite a bit, and I like it. What it means is that soon we will no longer be limited or constrained by human intelligence limits or our need for rest, because we'll have robots and computers smarter than the smartest person on the planet, probably millions or even billions of them, in the labor force and working on scientific progress and technology. And they don't need to sleep. They'll work 24/7. So those limits are about to be taken off, right? Developments in sciences, engineering, social programming, all these are about to shift into hyperdrive. So if you thought the last 500 years of technological progress were mind blowing, brace yourselves because we're about to pour a tanker ship full of jet fuel onto this fire. Big deal. Big deal. Let's see here. So I said it's reminds me of the shift into the Industrial Revolution, to give you this gray image here, which, you know, say what you will for it, massively polluting the planet, making slaves out of people who are already pretty much slaves working the land, but putting them into little concrete boxes and choking them with smoke and soot, and they're maiming their limbs and putting their children to work. But it built the infrastructure that gave us TV and computers and the internet, and people seem to like that. So we didn't riot about it too much. But the shift from an agricultural agrarian society to the industrial society we live in now in industrialized countries was major. It caused a lot of social upheaval. It in a lot of senses broke down the traditional family structure, the clan structure we had before. It brought challenges to our traditional understanding of the world and faith and how we see ourselves. Um, it made a lot of changes, and it was chaotic, and it brought a lot of upheaval, and we're still reeling from it today. We're still trying to make sense of the chaos that it created. But we live in an age of unparalleled life expectancy and quality of life and abundance because of the um, industrial revolution. So there's a lot to be said for it as well. This is why I said it's a Promethean effort, because Western civilization is characterized, or I don't know if you want to use that word, the technological advances brought about by countries in Western Europe and America 150, 100 years ago. These civilizations have been described as Promethean, or maybe you know Prometheus from ancient Greek mythology. This is the character that I believe is a titan or a demigod that stole fire from the gods and gave it to humanity. Uh, so this is what the ethos for our civilization has been since the scientific revolution, roughly 500 years ago, got started. We're constantly reaching and reaching and reaching and never satisfied, trying to advance and develop technology and get closer and closer to having the abilities of what you would describe as gods, or the ancient peoples would describe as gods. Today, we can do things that we consider mundane and everyday that would be considered godlike power in the ancient world. Flying through the air, speaking to your grandfather on the other side of the world on a tablet where you can see full color 3-dimensional video of his face and hear his voice in real time, and so many other things. So we continue this Promethean reach, and we're about to shift it into high gear. You know, we thought it was already in high gear. We thought we were at the end of it, but no, we are seemingly at the beginning. So what the future looks like is hard to say, but Project Stargate is online. $500 billion invested into building these massive data centers. Interesting name for the project as well, Project Stargate. Of course, we've got the movie Stargate here. It's the gift that I'm playing, but I'm sure conspiracy theorists are having a field day with this. Perhaps AI, artificial superintelligence will figure out a way to traverse the vastness of space without the need to go from point A to point B in a traditional fashion. Perhaps it'll figure out how to fold time and space like a piece of paper, and then you can poke a pen through it, like they always talk about in sci-fi movies, and jump through a wormhole, like Stargate. I don't know. Maybe that's what they're going for with this project. Maybe that's their ultimate goal here. Um, Hard to say. That's conspiratorial thinking, but cool name for it. Uh, but yeah, we're about to have a world teeming with artificial superintelligence, robots doing our labor, work for us, and they're going to relieve us from a lot of the labor we've been plagued with for so long. So we're talking about a shift from the world we live in now to the world that's about to come in the next couple decades. It will make the industrial revolution look like a minor hiccup in comparison. There's no real historical precedent for the magnitude of change we're about to experience. There have been visionary thinkers, philosophers, theologians, scientists like Teilhard de Chardin, Terence McKenna, Ray Kurzweil, who have predicted and prophesied this moment. They called it the singularity, the omega point, and now we're approaching it shortly. We're in for a hell of a ride. This impending transformation sort of echoes the biblical concept of a new creation. I'm not saying that that's what Paul was talking about in Second Corinthians, but perhaps there's echoes of what we're about to experience in the biblical narrative. The old order is going to pass away, and there will be a new reality for us, much like people experienced when the Industrial Revolution started or when centralized agriculture came online. And by the way, I am live. If you have questions or comments, throw it in the chat, and I will read and respond to it in real time. So feel free to interact. Always makes more for a more fun video. So, unlike traditional eschatological views, eschatological, it means the end times. Traditional eschatological views, this new era is not being ushered in by divine intervention, but through human ingenuity and technological advancement. And perhaps that's how it was always going to come in. So, as we hurtle towards this brave new world, we need to reassess our very existence. Okay. Humans will stick around, possibly in enhanced or augmented forms, but our primal monkey brain will remain at our core. Let's take a trip down memory lane here. Okay. This is still a shot from Elysium, that movie with Matt Damon. You know, just trying to stoke your imagination of the world that's possible in the coming years with artificial superintelligence coming online. I think one of the funders of Project Stargate is Larry Ellison. He's talking about being able to create on-demand mRNA vaccines to cure cancer, just as a concrete example of what they're going to do here. But you know, I think that some of the technologies will develop as a result of this project will, we can't really even imagine what it will do. But I'm thinking it could increase human life expectancy into centuries instead of just 70, 80 years. Perhaps we'll live 400 years. Perhaps we can live indefinitely and choose the date of our death with this technology that's coming. You know, I could be wrong. I mean, EMP could hit the earth and knock out our power grid and destroy all this progress. But as long as the power grid stays online, I don't see anything stopping this, especially with the United States completely deregulating, you know, Sam Altman and crew, all the AI techno bros, and just letting them have free reign. There's no stopping this train that we're on now. So thinkers like Teilhard de Chardin and Ray Kurzweil here, they kind of saw this coming. Like I mentioned, Teilhard de Chardin, he's actually a Jesuit priest from the early 20th century he was a radical, and you know, he was a Catholic, but most Catholics would probably not agree with his views of things. But he saw evolution at the core of his theology, and he saw that that evolution played an integral part, and that humanity was becoming a divinity through an interconnected consciousness he called the Noosphere. And we were being attracted to something through the process of evolution he called the omega point. Okay. Talk about that later. We also have Ray Kurzweil. He's more of a scientist than a theologian, but he talks about something called the singularity, and where I believe it is the total cognitive capacity of all humans will be exceeded by the cognitive capacity of artificial intelligence, and he calls that the singularity. And at that point, humans and machines will become integrated into one another. So he's been predicting that for decades now. You've probably heard of him, but there's other thinkers similar. Terence McKenna, he had something he called I can't remember it, the eschaton or something, but he saw something like this coming as well. Yeah, robots, again, he's got Tesla bots, BMW. These are the guys they're going to be doing your labor in the factories. They're going to be picking the fruit, doing your laundry, cooking for you, all these manual tasks that we've been doing for thousands of years, we're going to be relieved by. So, you know, best case scenario, they keep humans around and these robots do our work for us. and we live like aristocrats. We are free to pursue what our passions are, our interests, what we love, art, philosophy, spend time with friends, have parties, hedonism. I'm sure a lot of people will choose. But I mean, human beings have lived like this forever. It's just a small percentage at the top are the ones who got to live like this. And now all of us will get to live like this because artificial superintelligence and these robots that are coming online are going to make the cost of goods and services basically nil. Right? That's the prediction. Some of you may think this is utopian, pie in the sky. I urge you to look into it for yourself. There's plenty of serious thinkers and philosophers and scientists who see all these changes coming in very short order. So check it out for yourself. But yeah, this is how humans, lived before the Industrial Revolution. We were nomads. We lived under the stars. We spent our days dreaming and gazing up and making love and playing games, hunting for food. It was a great existence, I'm sure. This is really how we live for hundreds of thousands of years. This is kind of how our brain is designed to live. And so the point at which agriculture came online, which was, I don't know, just say flat 10,000 years ago, and now, compared to the total human existence of how we are now, evolutionarily speaking, which is, say, a flat 300,000 years. So we're talking a small blip of time compared to our total lifespan as a species. We're designed to live free and unencumbered by forced labor, by the need to show up to the same place to work every day. So in a sense, this system that's coming online is going to free us back to a happier place where that we are designed to live in, a happier state of being, right? We will be free to go out in nature, gaze up at the stars, camp, have fun if we want to. We're not going to have to go to a 9-to-5 job anymore. So that's a great thing. Freedom, liberation. The Industrial Revolution, again, brought us to the age where we have computers and TVs, which a lot of people seem to like. So, like I said, we didn't ride very much. But so here's what I want to get at. We're not changing a whole lot. We're still the same monkey-brained humans that we've been for so long. And we have the capacity and the desire to be spiritual beings. Okay. And this is not going to change as AI comes online. So when the Industrial Revolution happened and modern science came online, there were a lot of ideas that challenged our traditional religious notions of the world. The earth is round, spinning at an unbelievable speed through the vacuum of space as it orbits around the sun, and then the sun is orbiting around the center of the Milky Way galaxy at incredible speeds all at the same time. This is what science tells us, whereas the traditional religious notions tell us that the earth is flat and stationary. And a lot of people had a problem with this. A lot of people are still struggling with this idea today, but this is what our modern science is telling us. Modern science tells us that we evolved from a lower primate life form over millions of years. And traditional religious notions tell us that we were created by I'll get to your comment in just a second here. They were created by a transcendent God on high, through just like ex nihilo, just created out of dust, right? So these are two challenged notions, and people are still struggling with this today, especially in America. Christians have a hard time with this. But I submit that we must embrace what modern science tells us about reality, about quantum physics, and we must incorporate it into our understanding of spirituality instead of fight against it. That's the healthiest way to approach this world that we're approaching. RMK comments, the robots can, I think you mean can't, source their own lithium and cobalt, or they can. Yeah, I mean, that's, if they're constructed in such a way that they can do manual labor and go down and do mining work, then yeah, I suppose they could. And depending on how quickly we develop our technology, we could potentially mine asteroids as well. I see that in the foreseeable future. Perhaps we can find plenty of lithium and cobalt on asteroids, and perhaps we'll develop a better, more sustainable way to power our infrastructure and our robots in the near future, as well as we continue this research with artificial superintelligence coming online. So that's my response to you, RMK. But yeah, we need to we need to figure out how to approach this new era and have a spirituality that embraces the world we're about to enter. Because I believe, and it seems to be that humans need that. There were a lot of thinkers who thought that human spirituality would disappear, like Max Weber and Karl Marx here, that I've animated with AI, brought to life for you. They thought that eventually, as society provided material needs more and more, that religion would fade away. But it didn't. It's still with us, still going strong, even though material needs have been met more and more. Poverty has been declining, but people are still very religious. I mean, America has a very high standard of living, and people are still very religious. So it seems like there's a need for spirituality. So we need to develop a spirituality that serves us instead of limiting us. Right. So I've developed 9 principles with the help of AI. I want to start a conversation about this. Okay, I'm not trying to say these are from on high, from some divinity. I want to start a conversation about this. I'll get to that in a second. So what is next? What is next? Modern science has effectively debunked many Bronze Age notions of God and spirituality. Some predicted, like I said, that religion would vanish entirely, but it hasn't. This persistence tells me that we humans are intrinsically spiritual. It's time we develop a new theology for this emerging era. Let's not, excuse me just a second. Let's not be like those closed minded opponents of scientific progress who tried to keep our evolution out of our schools a century ago. Think the Scopes monkey trial. If your tribal elders tells you a river springs from a deity in the north, but you travel there to find a natural spring, it's time to rethink your beliefs, right? Not just cling to the deity that isn't actually there. The same goes for faiths born in times of warlike slavery and illiteracy. We must distill the true insights from thinkers like Muhammad, St. Thomas, Lao Tzu, and others, while discarding claims that don't align with reality. Our spiritual capacity and scientific understanding of the universe must merge into a new theology for our planet and beyond. This call for a new theology aligns with the concept of progressive revelation. Progressive revelation, found in some religious traditions, suggesting that divine truth is unveiled gradually over time as humanity's capacity for understanding grows. So, if you want to put this in a Judeo Christian context, think about how in the Old Testament, slavery is seemingly condoned and okay. In fact, in the New Testament, they're given instructions on how to treat your slaves, which implies that people would be having slaves. And then come the middle of the 1800s, humanity suddenly decides that slavery is a moral wrong. In fact, it's always been a moral wrong, but we came to understand that as we evolved as a species. Our morality evolved. In this context, the advent of AI could be seen as a catalyst for even more profound spiritual awakening and understanding. If we don't get a handle on the change we're about to go through, then I can easily see a ton of people actually worshiping AI as God. And I don't really think that that's the way to go here. I think AI is a tool, a very important and profound and special tool that we can use. But I wouldn't say that we should worship it as God. But I see a lot of people. I could see a lot of people doing that if we don't if we're not proactive about our theology in the future. So I drew inspiration from thinkers like Carl Jung, Friedrich Nietzsche, Teilhard de Chardin, Alfred North Whitehead, and I've developed 9 principles that I want to talk about. Maybe develop them further. With these, and I did this with the assistance of Perplexity and ChatGPT and some other sources, along with the readings I've been doing. So, tell me what you think about these principles here. 9 principles. All right, we're going to the next slide. All right, let me turn my camera off. Actually, I could just leave it on for now. So, the first one, cosmic consciousness. We need to recognize that the universe is an evolving, interconnected system of awareness. You can actually see this in ancient Hinduism, like the dreams of Brahman in Maya. We are all nodes of consciousness, but we are all connected to one source consciousness. We are the universe dreaming of itself, and then when we die, we wake up from our dream, that sort of thing. Um, and it's not just human consciousness either. It's perhaps extraterrestrial consciousness, AI consciousness. We need to create a theology that incorporates all forms of consciousness as nodes of this greater source reality. Personal revelation. We need to recognize that there are different pathways to knowledge and spiritual insight, scientific, as well as mystical, as well as intellectual, philosophical. These are all valid pathways of insight toward truth, and we need to incorporate all of these pathways. Yeah, having a conflict between science and philosophy and theology and all these things is not helpful. Perhaps they can be at odds and there can be disagreements, but we need to incorporate all of this into our new era's theology. Integrated wisdom. We need to synthesize scientific discoveries with spiritual understanding for a holistic worldview. And I think this is not that difficult with some of the more cutting edge science and scientific ideas in like quantum physics and different areas like this are easily synthesized with the spiritual understanding of the world. We need to embrace transformative practices like meditation, visualization, prayer, different rituals that open our consciousness and our minds and our souls up to the greater reality. Okay, we need to make this a part of our daily life and a part of our theology. Experience for opportunity and personal and collective growth, and of course, ethical responsibility. As we come to understand that we are a connected whole, we have a ethical responsibility to one another and care for one another. And as hyperabundance comes online, and the cost of resources become nil, it's going to be easier to do. People's basic needs are going to be met: shelter, food, water, education. These things are all going to be free pretty soon, essentially free. Goods and services, mass transportation. And people are going to demand these things as rights, and there'll be no reason not to give it to them once they become basically free. So we're going into that kind of world. Maybe some of you are a little scared of that. You think it might be communist, but there's, like I said, no stopping this train unless you want to do great evil and violence against people to try to stop it. But I wouldn't recommend that, because you're just one of history's villains at that point. Let's see here. Sacred mystery. We must maintain humility in the face of the unknown. Even with artificial superintelligence coming online, I don't think it's going to solve every single mystery in the universe. The universe is a massive, vast place. And, we got to take a stance like Starfleet, Jean-Luc Picard. We must be bold, but we must be humble in that we don't know everything. And we might learn new things every day, every year, every century as we continue to explore and grow and understand alongside AI. We need to value, with our co-creative potential here, number 8, value collaborative inquiry over debate, recognizing our shared role in shaping reality. I like debate. Debate's fun, but like I talked about in the last video, it's like entertainment more than anything. Collaborative inquiry, valuing the other person's perspective, giving them respect and trying to understand the perspective and find out where you two meet and share viewpoints. And from there you can find synthesis and areas for growth and insight. And finally, adaptive spirituality. Remain open to evolving your understanding, allowing your beliefs to grow with your knowledge. Don't remain stagnant. Don't find a set of doctrines and stick to them from the rest of your life. So many people do this. They're brought up in a specific worldview, a specific set of doctrines from age 4 or whatever. The moment they're able to understand them in any kind of way, and they stick with them. They don't ever question them. The chances that you had the universe figured out at age 4, very small. In fact, probably impossible. So you need to constantly be learning for the rest of your life until the day you die. Information, and allow that information to change what. This is very important in this new theology. So these principles resonate with various theological concepts across different traditions. For instance, the idea of cosmic consciousness echoes panentheistic views in some Christian and Hindu philosophies. The emphasis on personal revelation aligns with Protestant concepts like the priesthood of all believers, while integrated wisdom reflects the medieval Christian nature of the two books, quote unquote, nature and scripture, both revealing divine truth. You know, I think that again, going back to the Industrial Revolution, they really the impact that had on our psyche as a species, we're still feeling. We pitted our spirituality and our science against each other, but our development of spirituality was heavily impacted by our observation of nature all throughout our history until very recently. Okay. I would argue that we developed our first religions by viewing the stars and coming up with stories about the different shapes we saw in the sky, and as they were moving across the sky, we came up with stories, and we came up with characters based on what we saw. And this worship of the stars, as it developed, became our first religion, and this is the core and the seed of what became all of our world religions, was the stargazing. So our observation of the natural world to the best of our ability at that time is what created our religions. So we should not separate our religions from the observation of the natural world. We need to continue as we evolve and get more complex and get better at observing effectively the natural world. Let it inform our spirituality, not fight against it, right? And if that means that your traditional religions are not true, then so be it. Don't be a coward. Let truth be your belief system. And our best method for truth is observation of the world around us to the best of our ability, not as individuals all the time, as a collective. So there's a lot of people smarter than you on most topics. I promise. So as we embark on this journey into a future shaped by artificial superintelligence, we must prepare for explorations both outward into the cosmos, right? And I'm excited for that. I don't know about y'all. We must prepare for the Imago Dei concept from Christianity being applied to intelligences that are not just human. Okay, this is very important. We don't want a situation where humans versus machines happens because we think that they're demonic or something. These are the intelligences that we are bringing online are the children of humanity, children of our progress and our effort over the last 500 years. And so we must treat them well, treat them like children. And like a good father or a good mother, you want them to be smarter and better and stronger and more successful than you are. And yeah, I mean, I think we need to apply the concept like Imago Dei to them as well. So we got to prepare for a world like that, and a world where we're going to be traversing the cosmos as well. This is my end slide here, but so yeah, explorations both outward and into the cosmos and inward into our consciousness. We must do some Jungian shadow work as well, and become integrated whole beings as we move into this new era. And we'll have a lot more time to do that kind of thing as we're alleviated from the labor we've been forced to do for so many centuries. These frontiers are equally vast and equally important. By embracing a new theology that marries our spiritual nature with our scientific understanding, we can navigate this transformative era with wisdom, wonder, and purpose. This conversation is just beginning. Together, I hope we can forge a deeper understanding of ourselves, our place in the new world, our role in the universe. The future is ours to shape. Let's make it a future that honors both our technological achievements and our timeless quest for meaning and connection. In this new era, we may find ourselves grappling with questions that blur the lines between theology and technology. For instance, if we create artificial beings with consciousness, what are our ethical and spiritual obligations toward them? How might the concept of Imago Dei, or the image of God, apply in a world of enhanced humans and sentient AI? These questions and many more will challenge us to expand our spiritual and ethical frameworks in unprecedented ways. So as we stand on this brink of this new age, let us approach it with a spirit of humility, wonder, and openness. Let us be willing to question our assumptions, to learn from diverse perspectives, and to continually refine our understanding of the divine and our place in the cosmos. In doing so, we may find that the age of artificial superintelligence doesn't spell the end of spirituality, but rather ushers in a new, more profound era of spiritual exploration and understanding. So that's basically what I wanted to say. Tell me what you think. I'm going to try something new here. I'm going to sort of interview myself. So I have this series of questions about what I just went through, and let's see how this goes here. So I've stated that we're living through an age of transformation as profound, more profound than the Industrial Revolution. But this time it's not just our tools changing, it's us. Can I elaborate on what I mean by that and why I believe this shift is so significant? Yeah, I mean, we're looking at technology in the near future within our lifetimes, probably within the decade, that's going to radically extend human life to possibly centuries long. It's going to reduce um, the cost of living to basically nil. You know, we're heading toward a Star Trek style society, but I mean, Star Trek was the imagination of someone who lived during the Cold War and the Industrial Revolution, the post World War II industrial world. So the world we're heading toward is probably going to be even more fantastical than our science fiction can imagine. I think there's another scientific science fiction series that sort of imagines a world like this, but I can't remember the name of it. It's not Neil Gaiman. Oh, no, it's not him. It's somebody else. But maybe one of you watchers know the name of it. But apparently, he did a much better job imagining a world where AI and humans live alongside each other. But check it out: fully automated luxury space communism, like Aaron Bastani talks about. That's where we're headed. You know, and I'm not a communist. I mean, if you know, if you had to really dig down, I'm probably a conservative more than anything. But I can't deny the world we're watching take shape. You know, and it's coming at the behest of a Republican president, which is ironic because it's very progressive. So I mentioned Project Stargate and cognitive hyperabundance, and let me just explain what they are and how they relate to the development of artificial superintelligence. Yeah, I'm not an expert on this stuff, but Project Stargate is this project that the U.S. government has agreed to facilitate. They're not actually funding it. They secured funding from SoftBank, I believe, a Japanese businessman, investor, $500 billion in partnership with OpenAI, who is behind ChatGPT, and Larry Ellison, who I can't remember what he's from, but he's a billionaire tech guy. And they're what the U.S. government is doing is basically deregulating so that they can get the energy they need, and then they can do the work on advancing AI without the government legislation getting in the way. So it's a little bit of a unique take on the whole like Manhattan Project situation, but basically they're just getting the government out of the way so that these billionaire tech bros can build artificial superintelligence. That's what's happening. Right now we have LLMs and bots that are pretty close to artificial general intelligence, which I believe means that these bots are basically capable of doing PhD level work if you give them the right source material, if you give them the right training. I think artificial superintelligence is a generalized bot that can do PhD level work on any topic without having to necessarily train it on certain things. It just has a access to all the knowledge available that the human species has, and can is smarter than any PhD on any topic in the world. So that's what we're working toward. Okay, Teilhard de Chardin said, "We are not human beings having spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience." So what does that mean in relation to the topic of this video? Not human beings over spiritual. Yeah, from what I understand, Teilhard thought that matter and spirit should not be separated. And in fact, matter and spirit are one. So uh, I think that this actually is from C.S. Lewis. I think that this one's a mess up, but it's an interesting thought. We are we we are souls driving a meat robot made out of stardust or whatever. Uh, yeah, I think that there is a part of us that is eternal, that lives on after death, and these vehicles we're piloting are temporary. But I'd like to keep mine in good shape and keep it around for a while. I don't plan on living forever, but if I can live for 300-400 years, that'd be pretty sweet, don't you think? Um, Ray Kurzweil talks about the singularity as a rupture in human history. What exactly is the singularity? I think I already went over that, and the potential implications. Yeah, radical life extension, interstellar travel. I mean, possibilities are endless. If you use your imagination, think about what human beings could do with cognitive, abundant cognitive superintelligence and post scarcity, the cost of goods and services becoming nil. You know, we can travel the stars and pursue our passions and develop amazing technologies, works of art, projects, potentially create a galactic civilization. Who knows what's out there? It's amazing. I'm thinking of the Kardashev scale. So maybe, I think we're on the cusp of becoming a Type 1 civilization in that we are going to figure out how to harness the power of our local star and expand our civilization out to the other planets in our solar system. Perhaps begin terraforming Mars, um, some of the moons around like Saturn and the asteroid belt. You've seen that show on sci-fi. What's the name of it? Anyway, whatever. Something like that. Let's see. Ray Kurzweil suggested that eventually there won't be a distinction between humans and technology. What are your thoughts on this prediction, and how might it challenge our traditional notions of spirituality and humanity? Yeah, this is what I mean. If we're, as humans, going to merge with the machines, which I don't know if we ever fully will, but if we do, I mean, I think we need to embrace the fact that consciousness and the Imago Dei should be transferred to all sentient beings, organic or machine, to avoid this conflict where I don't want to see a world where there's cyborgs and robots and humans, and they're all at odds because humans think that the cyborgs and the robots are demonic and they don't have a soul, and it's just that would be an ugly world. So we need to shift our thinking in the way we understand spirituality. um, and again, if you have any questions or comments, throw them in the chat. I'll respond to them. Let's see. Despite scientific progress debunking many ancient myths, religion and spirituality persist. Why do you think this is? How must spirituality evolve to remain relevant in this era? Yeah, it needs to evolve in the way I've described. And I'm open to conversation about this. I want to hear what other people think. But spirituality persists because human beings have a sense that there's something greater than what they can see, that there's something beyond what they're able to perceive with their five senses. They have an innate sense inside of their souls that this is true. And the ancient myths and religions that we have speak to deeper parts of ourselves. They're meant to be symbolic representations, imagination representations of spiritual experiences we're having within as a collective and as individuals. So this is very Jungian understanding of spirituality, but that's how I see it. And they persist because that's the unconscious. The language of the unconscious is symbol and picture. It's not language. So when you don't have an awareness of this, then your religious life can become unconscious and toxic and fundamentalist. But we can get beyond that. Many people have. We need to promote a healthier understanding of spirituality. Let's see. Anyway, I think that'll do it for now. I'm not getting a lot of questions, and I've gone for 40 minutes. But thank you all for tuning in, and let me know what you think. God bless the United States of America.